So, if we look at the Director General of Hydrocarbons' role in certifying the gas reserves,
Yeah.
the problem that arises is, other than God maybe, nobody really knows how much recoverable gas there actually is.
Yes.
It is at best a guesstimate.
Yes.
So, how do you go about ensuring that your guesstimate is as reliable as you can possibly engineer it?
No, gas, assessing of gas reserves is a very scientific reservoir engineering practice-based exercise. When somebody drills, he also does appraisal of the area. He looks, what are the lateral extent of the field, what is the vertical extent of the reservoir, what is the porosity, what is the permeability, how much is the gas saturation, and based on that we assess the reserves, and also we, as and when required, we also take help of some of the topmost experts of the world.
Right, sir.
It is not a assessment of gas reserves is not a hunch. It is based on very scientific reservoir engineering principles.
Right, sir. So for example, one of the private players that are producing gas from the KG6 basin, even at the EPI conference about 2 years back, they were claiming that they could pump in about 120 mmSCMD of gas over the next few months. But then we realized it came down to 60 mmSCMD. Now the fact is that what happens to the economic projections of all these gas power plants that are being set up under the hope that indeed that so much of gas will come out and that we will be able to produce gas. So how do we ensure that there is some predictability to this entire thing?
See, the prediction was that they will be producing by 2012 80 million standard cubic meters by drilling almost 30 or 34 wells. Now they have not drilled the wells as yet. So we are with them. They said they are facing some problem. We are studying that, and in last couple of months we have series of meetings with them, and they have already started drilling wells. So I think very soon we will see based on the results of those wells which are drilling in the unknown area, means little areas which are little away from the main producing areas. So I think the results of those wells will dictate the future.
So you talked about shale gas.
Yeah.
Now there is a promise, for example, in a conference in the United States with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, where the government of there also feels that this shale gas holds so much promise that they can wean themselves off Middle Eastern oil. Do you think that this is possible? There is no certification, of course, but is it entirely possible that we can have a large part of our energy needs met by shale gas in India?
See, in fact, the shale gas business in USA got a lot of promotion because of the very high oil prices, which happened 2-3 years back. The shale gas existence was known almost more than 50-60 years, but it was the economics, second was the lack of technology. These were the two factors which prevented oil and gas explorations to extract shale gas. But now it is realized with the horizontal well technology and hydrofracturing technology, shale gas became a reality and also economic. So that's how in the whatever developments have happened, you must have seen in the last 4-5 years also has happened in USA, particularly as a fallout of it was more of a necessity, and of course the technology has played a big role. But as compared to USA, shale gas, as I said, it requires lot of land area. It requires a lot of water. Then there are issues. Water comes back. Water handling. So far in India, there is no systematic assessment was made about the shale gas. We are doing this assessment ourselves. We are also taking help of the US Geological Survey through an MOU. And then also another thing for shale gas, that there is in USA, you can drive from 100-200 miles without finding a human being. And those areas, operationalizing shale gas business, you don't have any problem. Right. Here in India, because of our thick population, and shale gas we expect in areas like Cambay Basin, Assam Arakan Basin, Krishna Godavari Basin. These are quite densely populated areas. Right. So these are the concern. We are also looking for the technologies which can address, like horizontal well technology, several horizontal wells from a single pad. That could be one technology which can help. And also the environment, we do not want really to play with the environment. We want all the environmental guidelines should be in place before we launch shale gas business in the country.
Sure.
So parallelly we are running along with the resource assessment, policy issues and all these things. But once we make the assessment, this is to prove premature to say how much shale gas can share India's gas basket in totality. But we are in the process of making the assessment of reserves.
So finally, sir, we'd like to know, there are two models of companies operating in the oil exploration sector. One is the private sector model, such as ExxonMobil and all these companies, national oil companies, and the other is the national oil companies.
Yeah.
And we see that the developed countries normally have the private sector running the show, and the developing countries, almost all without exception, have national oil companies. And there's this great big debate about which is the better model to follow. In India, we have a hybrid. We have the national oil companies. We also have the private sector companies.
Yeah.
So how do we ensure that, for example, we have a level playing field where the national oil company in India feels that it is bearing a big subsidy burden of the oil and gas bill, and the private sector is not having to bear any burden. So how does it compete and get new technology, and invest in new technology?
See, national oil companies are bearing the burden of subsidy. One is the role of the government also to provide energy resource to its population on affordable price. Now the areas where from national oil companies are giving subsidy is those areas before the NELP regime, in the nomination areas, which were given to them just like on nomination basis before 1998. Okay, so yes, there's a fact there, because also the principal owner of those companies to large extent is government. So in that scheme of the things, government is under directive of government, they are bearing the subsidy burden.
Right. But then that means that a large part of the money that could have gone in for investments in new technologies and researching new areas is now blocked into subsidy. Would you agree with? And how can we make that? How can we?
Slowly you have seen that there is a liberalization process. The prices of diesel have already been liberalized. Slowly the subsidy on the LPG also is going away.
Right.
So slowly government is taking measures to making it market driven.
Right.
So that process is anyway on. So maybe there will be a time in coming years when things will be at par with everybody.
Lastly, sir, what is your vision, your personal vision for the next 10 to 15 years for the oil and gas and the energy sector here in India?
No, I feel there is a lot of areas in the country are underexplored, are not even 1 million out of 3.14 million square kilometers of sedimentary area. 1 million square kilometers is not yet even offered for exploration. So my vision will be that there is a hydrocarbon vision 2025. We say that we must appraise the country's resources, hydrocarbon resources by 2025. So one is the appraisal of the country's sedimentary area, entire sedimentary area, and also there is, whenever there are discoveries come, very faster monetization of the discovery with the best available technology.